Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind Show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below and hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. As you can see, obviously doing this a little bit different today. You've probably noticed that nothing has gone up on the channel this weekend, even though there was a truck race yesterday and a K&N West race last night, which there should have been rewind shows for both of them. But Adobe Premiere and I have been having a bit of a fight the last 24 hours. It has not wanted to cooperate in the slightest, and this seems to be the only way it will accept videos. I have tried everything I possibly can, but for whatever reason, every other way I've tried to put videos in, it will not take the video file. The audio from that video file works fine. It won't play the video from that file. I cannot figure it out. I searched the internet. I tried everything I possibly could. I can't get it to work. I have no idea. So we're doing things like this for now. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to scrap the truck rewind for this weekend because I don't have time to do it. The K&N West rewind, though, I'm going to do my best to get it out because we do have an exclusive winner interview for it. So K&N West rewind should go up hopefully later tonight, I'm hoping, and then pole position Monday evening, 8 p.m. as usual to recap you on everything, especially since we didn't get rewind shows for everything this weekend. It's just been one of those days. This past 24 hours has not been good for me and Adobe Premiere. Anyway, you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about the Cup race today. It was the 50th annual 1000bulbs.com 500, 193 laps, just a bit into overtime, 513.38 miles around the 2.66 mile Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. 8 caution flags on the day for 32 laps, 1 incident in stage number 1. That was a lap 12 when the 96 of Jeffrey Earnhardt spun on the front stretch. Stage 1 ended at lap 55. Kurt Busch took the stage 1 victory. Those Stewart Haas cars were so fast today. It was ridiculous. There were 4 green flag laps in the first 2 stages where they were not the top 4 cars on track, and that was only during green flag pit stops. It was ridiculous, the speed that they had today. Stage number 2, 2 incidents there. First one came at lap 63 as the 48 of Jimmy Johnson spun to the inside on the front stretch, caught the inside wall. And at lap 105, Kyle Larson spun on the backstretch after getting a flat tire. Stage 2 ended at lap 110. Your stage 2 winner would be Kevin Harvick. Couple incidents in the final stage. First one coming at lap 137 as the one of Jamie McMurray spun on the front stretch and ends up getting himself stuck in the front stretch grass, kind of wedged himself down in there. And the final caution of the day, 2 more cautions. Lap 161, debris on the front stretch from an errant tire that came flying off the pit road. And lap 187, the biggest one of the day. I don't know that you can really call it a big one as there's only 5 cars involved at lap 187 between William Byron and the 24, the 88 of Alex Bowman, the 23 of J.J. Yaley, the 20 of Aric Jones, and the 9 of Chase Elliott. That happened off of turn number 4 to set up overtime. Then we had an incident in overtime in turn 1 and 2 on the final lap that there was not a caution thrown for. That involved most notably Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski. I believe Kevin Harvick was involved as well. Since there's not a caution, I don't have a list of cars that were in it, but just thinking off the top of my head, those were the notables I remember. Lead changes on the day, 15 for among 11 drivers. Kurt Busch, far and above, led the most laps with a 108. He was out front most of the time when the Stewart Haas cars were just kind of in their 4-car train and pulling away. 46 laps were led by Kevin Harvick, 21 led by Brad Keselowski. 6 laps were led by Ryan Blaney, 5 went to William Byron, 2 laps led by Matt DiBenedetto, and 1 lap apiece went to Aric Almirola, AJ Allmendinger, Brendan Gaughan, Martin Truex Jr., Ross Chastain, and Kyle Busch. All right, so let's get into your results on the day. Aric Almirola, yes, you're seeing that right. Aric Almirola picks up his second career victory, his first for Stewart Haas Racing. He was the one that outlasted everyone at the end, as going into overtime, the Stewart Haas cars were somewhat worried about their fuel strategy. Kevin Harvick actually peels off onto pit road when they take the green flag to go into overtime. So we're down to 3 Stewart Haas cars for overtime. Kurt Busch ends up running out off of turn 4 on the final lap, and that allowed Aric Almirola to snag the lead and pick up that oh-so-important win that puts him into the round of 8. Clint Bowyer came home with a second-place finish to still make a 1-2 Stewart Haas finish on the day. Not the 1-2-3-4 finish I think they were looking for, but still a good day overall for Stewart Haas Racing. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. came home with a strong third-place finish. Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano rounded out the top 5. Rest of your top 10 were A.J. Allmendinger, Jimmy Johnson, Erik Jones, Paul Menard, and Regan Smith. 11th through 20th, we see Kyle Larson here in 11th. Not a good day points-wise for him. He's really going to have to make something happen in Kansas, I think, if he wants to get into the round of 8. Kurt Busch there in the 14th position, lost some points. Even though he did pick up a good amount of stage points on the day, does lose just a smidge to the cutoff line, but he's in a fairly solid position headed into Kansas. Bubba Wallace down here in the 19th position as well. 21st through 30th, we see a few playoff drivers down. Actually, a lot of playoff drivers down here. Martin Truex Jr. in 23rd. Not a good day for him. The handling was absolutely awful on that car today. Then a lot of these guys down here at the bottom of the page getting caught up in that last lap incident. Kyle Busch in the 26th, Brad Keselowski 27th, Kevin Harvick 28th, Ryan Blaney 29th. Last page, 31st through 40th, Chase Elliott also involved in that last lap incident. And then Alex Bowman landed down here in the 33rd position, 2 laps down. He's got his work cut out for him at Kansas. All right, so that's your results from the 1000bulbs.com 500. Let's head over to the Media Center, and we'll see what your top finishers, Aric Almirola, and all the others had to say after this one.
Hello. Gotcha. We were lucky enough to have pitted a little bit before that, so we had plenty of fuel, which was nice. I was hoping all of them were going to run out, and that didn't happen. So we got a good run to the outside of the 21, I believe. Got up into 3rd there down the back straightaway. Was able to get to 2nd there, and then was hoping Clint was going to stay in line and see if we could catch the 10, getting back to the start-finish line. But I left the door open just enough on the bottom to let Clint get to the inside of us, and then neither one of us had a shot to catch the 10 car at the start-finish line. But all in all, from the way our day started and all the adjustments we made, we'll definitely take that result, but not pleased at all with the speed that we had today.
It sounded like lining up for that last restart, you guys are a little confused. Are we sticking to the strategy, or are we going to be able to orchestrate? Was it going to be every person for himself? Had it shaken out that way, or
it was going to be until you start the day off, and our cars were so well together. I mean, even if you're me, it's like, well, what's our best situation here? And I, went to let him in. Then he ran out of gas. So it wasn't the best of situations for ourselves. But had I not have done that, maybe I probably would have won the race. But, I was happy for Aric. He had that race won last week, and it was me that brought out the caution. So I feel like he got a little redemption there, and was happy that we finished second. I think it was second, and second as far as our day went. We needed to be a little bit better, but man, you can't say enough. I mean, I don't think you can write enough about the job that everybody at Stewart Haas did. Those cars were so fast. I've seen other guys, other teams, other organizations put that together before. The Hendrick organization's been there before. The Gibbs cars have done that before. It was our turn, you know what I mean? The Penske cars have done that before. We finally, got all 4 cars, to the cream of the crop, and oh my gosh, was it awesome. To be able to work together like that, we could hold on, and they get some runs on you and everything else, but as long as you held your ground and stayed disciplined and followed and stayed in line, we'd prevail. It seemed like our cars not only were fast, they handled good at the end of the runs. We would start stretching it out on them. The Penske cars were the second best, and then the rest was racing for whatever position after the our two Fords. Can't say enough about Ford Performance, a job that everybody does there. It's a good day to be in a Ford. I mean, it's all you can say about that is a hell of a day to be in a Ford. Every time you looked in the mirror, all you saw was blue ovals in a line.
When during this race do you realize that the Stewart Haas cars just have something that nobody else has? And are you already can't wait for the Daytona 500 next year?
Pretty much. I knew when we qualified that when all four of us starting up there in the front, we kind of talked about it in our competition meeting that we needed to be committed to each other. We needed to score as many stage points as we can. We needed to score more stage points in the 12. We needed to score more stage points in the 42 and the 88. We knew all that, and so going into the weekend, that was our focus, was to be committed as an organization to doing everything we can to help each other, and making sure that we continue to get points, especially for Clint and myself being in the situation that we were in going into this weekend. And then when we qualified top four, all of us together, I knew that all four of us were gonna be tough to beat, and we were gonna have really fast race cars. And we've been chasing those Penske cars. We talked about it in here Friday or Saturday. We've been chasing Penske at the restrictor plate races. They've been able to do somewhat of what we did today, where they get out front, and Brad and Joey and Paul and Blaney, get organized and basically dominate the race. And today we were able to do that. We stayed so committed to each other. We worked every restart out to where we stayed committed to each other and got in line. And it was us against the field. And when we started to drive off from the field in that first stage, as the stage went on, I knew we had something special. I knew one of our four cars was going to win. And just by, happenstance that we were the ones that qualified fourth, I kept being the third or fourth guy in line. And it was like, man, this is nice that we're all four running together, but I'm scoring less stage points than Bowyer, and I'm racing him in points. And eventually we're gonna have to try and win this race, or we're gonna have to separate and start fending for ourselves. And that opportunity, honestly, never really presented itself. It seemed like the way the race played out, where there was such long green flag runs, that we would get committed to each other, and then as we would drive away from the field, me being the fourth guy in line, I never really had anybody behind me to help me make a move on my teammates. So it was an incredible day for us as an organization at Stewart Haas Racing, and I am so proud and so thankful for the opportunity to be driving these race cars.
And we'll take a look at your playoff grid before wrapping up here tonight. One race remaining in the round of 12 before we chop it down to 8 drivers here, and we have quite the gap at the cutoff line now. Martin Truex Jr. to Brad Keselowski. That is an 18-point gap here as we head into Kansas. Keselowski, Blaney, and Larson, though, are fairly close to that cutoff line. 18 points is the gap for Brad Keselowski, 22 the gap for Ryan Blaney, and 26 the gap for Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's got a little bit of work cut out for him, but the guy that's got a lot of work cut out for him, and the guy that really has to win at Kansas if he wants to get into the round of 8, he has no other option. He can't point his way in, is Alex Bowman. 68 points is the gap for Alex Bowman. He has got his work cut out for him at Kansas. There's only one way for him to get into the round of 8 at this point, and that is to win at Kansas. These other guys, Keselowski, Blaney, Larson, could point their way in. It's not all that far out of reach, but at the same time, I think for the three of them, they have to win at Kansas if they want to get into the next round. Truex, though, is good at Kansas. That's the one thing I'd be worried about if I were them, is Truex actually can go out and win at Kansas. That's no big thing for him. He won both races at Kansas last year. So I would be a little worried if I were Keselowski, Blaney, and Larson. And if I were them, honestly, probably your best hope is that maybe Clint Bowyer has bad luck at Kansas, because I don't see Truex having bad luck at Kansas. we'll see how this plays out. Obviously, Almirola and Elliott locked into the round of 8 now with their wins, so they don't have to worry about Kansas. These bottom 4 guys, especially Keselowski, Blaney, and Larson, have to worry. Bowman, he's only got one thing he has to do. He doesn't have to worry about pointing his way in. He's got one thing he has to worry about. And I think, honestly, that takes a little bit of the pressure off because there's only one way for you to get into the next round, and you know exactly what that is. You've got to go out there and win. You know what you have to do. Whereas these other guys, they could hypothetically point their way into the next round, and they've got to worry about that. I think all 3 of them, though, are going to be looking to win at Kansas, but they don't have to win. So you've kind of got that whole thing going on in your mind where you don't really know exactly what you have to do at Kansas. So it might be a better situation for Alex Bowman than it is for the other 3. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works at Kansas. But I think that'll do it for us tonight on the Cup Series Rewind show. Again, I apologize. This is a little bit different, not quite what we're used to. Maybe you like this better. Let me know if you like this setup better rather than just having the desk out here with the diecast and stuff on it. Let me know if you like this whole setup better for this. I mean, we can do this going for, and to be honest, at least here for the foreseeable future, we'll probably have to do this going forward. But it's been quite the stressful day. As you can see, my hair is not the greatest today. It's kind of all over the place. It's been one of those kind of pull your hair out kind of days. Premiere has not been good to me today, but this should work. I tested a couple interview videos that had come from doing this, and they seem to work in Premiere, so this should work, I'm hoping. So you should be seeing this here in a little bit here. 9-10 o'clock tonight, I'm guessing, around is probably going to be the upload time for this, give or take, as long as nothing weird happens. So that should be when you are seeing this. Again, probably scrapping the truck rewind for this weekend. I don't have time to do it at this point. With everything Premiere is thrown at me this weekend, I just don't have time to do it. The Canaan West rewind, I'm going to try to squeeze that in tonight. I do have to get up for work in the morning, go to the day job. So gotta worry about sleep tonight too. So we'll see how that goes. But there will be a pole position tomorrow either way, 8 p.m. on Monday evening. So if nothing else, you will get caught up on everything that happened this weekend on a pole position. So it's not the way I like to do it, but Premiere has kind of forced my hand this weekend and kind of wasted most of my Sunday. So we'll see what happens with that. But if you haven't done it already, go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. We've got our final live coverage from a race coming up on Friday. That's the ARCA race from Kansas Speedway. We've got some good things lined up for that I know we're going to work. We're not going to have these technical difficulties with that, but it's going to be a little bit more than what it has been for us at these ARCA races. We've got a couple things planned extra that I know you're going to like, including at least one live video from the track that is something I know you are going to want to see and you're going to be interested in. So you will definitely want to check that out. Should be sometime early afternoon on Friday from Kansas Speedway. They're sometime between practice and qualifying for the ARCA Racing Series. Probably sometime shortly after practice wraps up. Practice is supposed to be over at 12:30, so I'm thinking we're going to plan that for 1 o'clock. There should be a schedule go up for that here within the next day or so. I'm thinking we're planning that for 1 o'clock. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be something I know you're going to want to see and you're going to be excited about. So if you haven't done it already, you need to subscribe, ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss that on Friday, because you're going to be kicking yourself if you do. And hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video. It is much appreciated when you do. And thank you for sticking around through this crazy, messed up weekend thanks to Premiere. But at that, this has been the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.